Hey, what up, everybody? All right, so as you can see, old school Jordan box, OG pair, Air Jordan, white, black, dark powder, blue, size 11. These are the Air Jordan 10s from 1994. Old school style box where it's that long, thin box. They used this for pairs in the mid 90s, early 90s. The 7s actually were in this box at the very end of the run. I think the Cardinals might have been only the Cardinals. 8s, 9s, 10s, and 11s. And then I believe they switched with the 12s. So let's get right into the shoes. Super clean pair. Love this colorway too. The 10s aren't the most loved Jordan, but they, still classic. And given that they're just OGs, you gotta love them for that. So I like the 10s. They are not, there's not a ton going on with them, but still classic OG colorway. And materials on these are really nice, and the shape is what really makes them awesome in my opinion. They are brand new, never worn, and fortunately they were stored in an environment that I think was low humidity, because very, very well preserved shoe. The colors still pop. A lot of times, the colors will fade or darken. If they're kind of dried out, you'll get yellowing, especially in the 10s. You get kind of yellowing in the corners here along the stitching will be yellowed, but yeah, these ones are still pretty nice and white, and that powder blue really pops still. So I think this would, I kind of wish they did laser blue on this one. I think with the lines down here, laser blue would have been cool, but yeah, the leather on these is super nice. We say super nice now, but this was just standard leather on OGs. You can see the quality up there. That shape is perfect. Flat sole, downward slope, very aerodynamic. Really makes the look of the shoe. Pretty much an all leather shoe. You do have some mesh back here, and then of course here. Similarities to the 11. 11 is like a flashy version of the 10, in my opinion. They did this. The sole is pretty different, but the two look similar. Really nice materials, not just the leather, but like the foam, really soft. The moldings was done really well. You can see the curvature of the lines there. Everything really pops out. Very three-dimensional. Jumpman's in the back. They weren't as crisp as they are today. This one looks like he's got a hat on. And then this one back here looks like he's got like a big nose. So the stitching technology is definitely more refined today, but they did manage to, add in the laces of the shoes, which is kind of cool. Inside, you had the old size tag there. You got the tag here. These are Korea. Yeah, so these are actually, correct me, these are 95. Yeah, so they're made between the months of February and April of 1995. Inside there you got a nice Nike Air. And this is more different from the retros. This has that kind of lined fabric. All the medals, or all the awards on the bottom. 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 91, 92, 93, 94. Yeah, pretty dope shoe all around. Like I said, the shape is my favorite part. You can see how they just, when they run, they have that kind of pointed downward shape. Here's a retro pair from 2012 just to compare. This is a size 12 and a half, so it's a little bit bigger, but you can see, and granted these are worn, not much, but they are worn. They look worn a lot because the creases. Leather on these actually nice. This part right here, this part not so much, but and not so much this part. But this part of leather is actually great. Like this is like OG style leather. But yeah, you can see the shape difference. This is with all the 10s. Well, pretty much all Jordans now. They have that kind of banana. They go upward, they curl upward, and yeah, it just doesn't look as good. You can see that there. Has that kind of downward look to it. And then this is, and it's not just because they're creased. This was that kind of banana look when they're brand new too. But yeah, the feel of the shoe just feels, it just doesn't feel as good. It feels, like a cheap replica. The molds right here, not as soft. It's, it's a much harder foam, stiff. Like I said, this leather here, really good quality. I think it would have been pretty noticeable if they went cheap on this leather here, just because the whole shoe is just like one piece pretty much of leather, and then you have this little bit of overlay here. This is cheaper. It's not terrible, but it's definitely a cheaper synthetic feel, whereas this is good quality leather here and here. Yeah, this is slightly better than this right here. This is significantly better than this one. But yeah, also the foam material is different. This is a much softer, way more squishy, even after all these years. You can just see everything is like put together, constructed better, more defined. This is, it's just not as good. It's like, it's, as if somebody, was just making a replica, like a kind of a knockoff. I wore these, but they just weren't that comfortable. I think I hooped in them once or twice, and they just make the retro. You can see the toe boxes. There's just, it's just like they always have that kind of bulbous toe box. There's a lot more space from your toes to the leather. I think that, if they make these retros, for people who have bigger, feet, fatter feet, it's not just like hoopers. It's just like, all types. And so they've enlarged it. And what it is, you have a lot more room. So you get definitely a lot more creases, kind of that upward bend. Just because they're not wrapping your foot. I put these on my foot, it feels like it kind of like, there's just so much space all around. It doesn't really hug your foot well. So, movements with the leather, they just causes much more of a bend. With 10s, when I wore the original 10s, these are brand new, but They're really snug. They wrap your foot nicely. You know, it's definitely a much more versatile fit. Like you can feel, you know, like you're not just doing, you know, you can kind of, it's definitely a much more athletic fit, but quality wasn't terrible in these. I saw the leather and I was like, man, I gotta get these. I don't really buy retros. These were 2012. I saw the leather. I was like, I mean, I was working at one of the Nike stores at the time, so I got the discount. But yeah, just wearing them around, that look, you can see how it's hard to see. Let me pull this down. You can see the bend upward that has right there. It just looks, I mean, look at that, like there. And then you look at that, and that has like that downward slope to it. It just looks much sleeker. Cooler. These look kind of like boaty. But that's pretty much all Jordans nowadays. That's one of the reasons I don't buy retros. They have that upward look, and then when they crease, they just get these huge bends in them because there's so much extra space. And then also these aren't tied tight, like this is a loose, you know. But they have very little gap here, so there's like so much extra shoe, so much bulk. Like if I would tie these tight, like these things would be touching, and then it's, you know, looking like this clunky big old shoe. Whereas these ones, you know, there's more space here, but then the edge of the shoe is like right there, so they're much, you know, they have a much more narrow fit to them. But yeah, OG 10s definitely a dope shoe. That OG shape is honestly why I buy these. You know, they're not wearable. You probably could. The glue's dried out though, so the shoe would probably break apart. You could re-glue them. You could, you know, inside it's probably dried out, but people will, you know, replace that or kind of re-foam it, put a new air unit into it, and then rock them, because this is not polyurethane, so it's not going to crack, just leather. And this foam here, I'm not sure what type of foam it is, but it's not going to crack. It's still very squishy. And then the rubber bottom is also fine. So cool thing about the 10s, original 10s, they are still somewhat wearable, you know, especially if you just wear them lightly or do a little bit of a restoration on them, you can still rock them. But they do, you know, these creases here, kind of standard, like this was probably factory creased or, you know, a little bit ruffled, and that's fine. Not gonna be perfect. Definitely a very different look to them. These look like they're creased a lot, but honestly, I didn't even wear these that much. It's just, there's like so much extra room. Back, Jumpman is much cleaner on these retros. Yeah, so. All right, well, thank you for watching this video on the Air Jordan 10, original white, black, dark powder blue. Hope you guys liked the vid. Check out my other vids. I'm gonna post them more soon, and hope you all have a nice day.